Assalamu alaikum, this is Puya. I hope you're all doing well. In this video, I'm going to introduce some exercises to you, which are related to while for loops, if a statement that we have already talked about. I'm going to explain the exercises and you try to do it on your own. And if you had any difficulty doing it, or if you had any question, just feel free to comment your questions on the video's descriptions and I will answer them as soon as possible. So let's begin. So let's start with the first exercise. In the first exercise, you are asked to consider that you got a list, input list. You can take it from a user or you can just work on the sample input list. The items inside this list, all of them are strings, but some of these strings, they are integers. They can be cast into integers. Like for example, 11 here can be cast to integer. Puya cannot be cast to integer. Let me show you how to cast. We've talked about it, but just to make sure you're on the same page. As you can see, int Puya, it says invalid literal for int with base 10. It means there are some, it contains some characters that is not a digit. For example, here 10 can be cast to integer like this. As you can see, it returns 10. At 10.5, it cannot be cast to integer. 32k 232, the same, and 0 can be cast to integer like this. So your code should iterate over the items of this list and return, for example, 11, 10, and 0 for this exact list. And for other lists, it should return integers. You can print it out, return it, or whatever. It's up to you. It's up to you. Just make sure while doing this code, you're not allowed to use try except. We haven't talked about it, but some of you may be familiar with try except. So the point of this, the intention of this exercise is to give you a taste how to develop an algorithm to solve a problem. Okay, for another case, for example, using str that is decimal or str that is digit, you can simply solve this question, but we don't want to use these predefined functions, methods in this case. Okay, we want to develop our own algorithm to get to recognize integers and print them out, save them in a list or whatsoever. That doesn't matter. We just want to extract these integers from this list that contains all of the items are strings, but some of them are integers. So just make sure don't use this predefined functions that do the job just very easily. And instead, use for, while, true, false. And here is a hint: you should have two nested for loops. Most of the times, students answer this question using two nested for loops. So let's go to the next question. This is a simple question. Just it says you got a list with a bunch of integers. Just return, print out the odd or even numbers. Doesn't matter. It's up to you. It doesn't really matter. Odd or even numbers. So simple. So here it is another task. It says write a Python program to sum two given integers. Consider you've got two given integers. Okay, you've got two integers. You can take it. You can define it by yourself. For example, you can say this is integer one, first number. This is second number. For example, second number is equal to 2. First number is equal to 1. But you can, or also you can ask the user to input the number in your code. For example, here using input function, let's see shift tab input. It says that its docstring says read a string from standard input. The standard input means let's see it. So explaining. Yeah, this is the input that Jupyter Notebook provides for us whenever using this input function. And here you should type in, for example, an integer number, for example, 12. But as you can see here, okay, I should. Kernel is busy, so when I push Shift and Tab, it doesn't show me anything because the kernel is busy. So let me release the kernel. Okay, it just popped up immediately. Okay, it says it reads a string. Okay, so no matter what you type here, the input considers it to be an a string number, a string input. Okay, so here I use int function to int actually its object to convert it, cast it to integer. So after doing this, you should write a code here in this section that sums these two numbers, add these two numbers together, and if it was between 15 and 20, it should return 12. Okay, 20. It should return 20. Otherwise, it returns the exact number, the result of sum or your addition, what it is. It returns it. So whenever it is between 15 and 20, it should return 20. Otherwise, it should return the exact sum. So that's it for this question. Okay, another question here. Consider we've got a list of items. Here we've got integer, here we've got a string, and it's a combination of a string and integer items. You should count the number of items, okay? Just, again, do not use collection.counter, do not use np.unique or list.count. You may not be familiar with this counter, collection.counter or np.unique, but even if you are, don't use them. Again, the intention is to develop our algorithms to count the number of same items in a list or in a tuple. That doesn't really matter. So here, just one more note. When you are counting the numbers of a string, just make sure to count them in a case insensitive manner. For example, this small s and this uppercase s and this lowercase s, they should be considered as one item. Okay, as you can see, the result should be like this. You can try your example in any kind of input that you want. Okay, but here I just give you an example that says, for example, here we've got 3 ones here, 5 just only one item, 6 only appears once, s appears 2 times because as I told you, it is case insensitive. Okay, this is the lowercase s, this is uppercase s, and Puya, as you can see, it appears 2 times. First p is lowercase and the second time it's uppercase, so you shouldn't consider uppercases as being a unique item. So that's it for this question. Okay, the fifth exercise or question is asking you to create a 2-player rock paper scissors game. So if you are not familiar what the rock paper scissors game is, you can Google it. It's just a game that each player, they can turn one of these positions they have. For example, they can say rock, paper, or Caesar. They should input rock, paper, or Caesar. Okay, and each time you should ask the user 1 and user 2 to get their inputs. Okay, to get their stance, and use input function that I introduced here. Okay, and each time they should enter one of these states. For example, which state they are. For example, one may enters rock, one may enters paper, and so on. Compare the results. For example, rock beats Caesar or paper beats Caesar. You can check it online and compare the result and print out a message to the one that won the game or didn't won the game. They may go pairs. For example, if both of them returns rock, you should return a message that no one win the match or something like that. And after a match is finished, ask the user whether they want to continue or not. If they return Y or yes, it means they want to continue. Otherwise, it simply means you should break the code and, for example, print out an appropriate goodbye message. Have fun gaming or whatsoever. And you should use a while loop for if you want to implement a game that continues forever, because maybe the user wants to play it for like 100 times. Okay, you don't know how many times they want to play, so you should go on with a while loop, and whenever they say they want to continue, you should continue the while loop. And if they say they don't want to, just break it using break statement, break keyword that we talked in the previous video, if I'm not mistaken. And that's it for rock paper scissors game. So the sixth code or program that you're asked to do is to write a Fibonacci to generate a Fibonacci sequence based on the number of numbers that user asks you. For example, the user asks, for example, I want the first 10 Fibonacci numbers or sequence, the first 10 elements. And you should simply generate the first 10 one and return it. So you can check what is Fibonacci sequence online, but it starts from 1 and 1, and the third number. Each number is the combination of its previous two exact previous two numbers. For example, here 2 is the sum. 1 plus 1 is equal to 2, or 3 is equal. 3 is equal to 2 plus 1. Okay, so each number is the add up of its two previous numbers. This is how Fibonacci numbers are generated in a sequence. So that's it for the sixth exercise. And the last one, it simply asks the user to input the password. The password is predefined. Okay, it's statically defined here. You can change it to whatever password that you want, and the user is asked to insert their password. And if user inserts their password incorrectly 3 times, you should simply block the user with a good message. For example, with a proper message, you say, you entered your password incorrectly 3 times, so you are blocked, or something like that. And if they enter it correctly, you again just return, just print out a message that the password that you entered was correct, and so on. So that's it for these exercises. I hope you find them challenging and you get valuable experience from them. Again, if you had any questions, just don't hesitate and comment them on the videos. Comment them below the video, and I'll check and answer them as soon as possible. So thanks for watching. See you in the next videos.